Hello and welcome back to another video. This is what I eat in a weekend. I woke up early to enjoy the rather cloudy sunrise. I often start my morning with a cup of tea and a flick through of the newspapers. Once that is done, I normally then start my actual morning routine, which would be my stretches, and I turn on the radio to have a further listen of the news while I get my breakfast ready, which today is my overnight oats. Super simple to make. Just half a cup of oats, a tablespoon of chia seeds and some milk, which I then leave overnight and heat up in the microwave for 2 minutes. And I add a tablespoon of some homemade jam. I've also switched over to ginger tea, which just reduces the amount of milk that I'm drinking. Then I was off out for the morning. Look at that glorious sunshine. It just transforms the UK when the sun is shining. And of course, I couldn't resist that new in book sign. I headed into the bookshop and had a good look around. This was Waterstones. I did see a few books that I would like to purchase, but at the moment I am restricting myself because I've got 2 other books to read after my current one, and I don't want to overwhelm my bedside table. Plus, I'm always drawn to non-fiction books. I'm not reading anything too heavy or too thought-provoking right before bed. But that book on Scottish independence did look interesting. After that, I stopped off at M&S, came back for lunch, which was using up the leftovers. I had mushroom soup that I had made during the week. This was actually the last portion of it, and I added a little bit more cream on top and some tops of spring onions. You can also see the tulips that I bought from M&S, which are doing very nicely and still standing up nice and strong. I only had time for a quick lunch because then I was heading out to visit my mum, where we enjoyed the sunshine for the afternoon, and I had a cup of coffee and pastry with her. I decided on an early dinner, and again it was leftovers. It was a lamb stew that I had made just a few days before, and I needed to finish up some old mashed potatoes and cauliflower and broccoli. So I turned that into a bubble and squeak, mashed it all together and fried it in a little bit of butter and had that with the lamb. Another really easy, delicious meal and no wastage, because food wasted is a real pet peeve of mine. I feel a sense of accomplishment when I have used up all the food. Another treat I bought from M&S was these marzipan chocolate coated balls. I had 2 after dinner and I enjoyed watching the sunset. Next morning, it is a grey and misty day, quite a contrast from the day before. I did try to find the sun, but it was well and truly being blocked by the clouds. Sunday morning breakfast was waffles. I had an old banana that needed using up, so I added that to the mixture first. Then a drop of lemon juice to keep the bananas from discolouring. I added milk, then 1 egg. I gave that a good stir and a drop of vanilla extract. As you can see, I'm not weighing any of this out, I'm just guessing. And for the flour, I just added a bit by bit until I get the consistency that I like. So I took 3 goes at this until I got the right thickness, which is slightly thicker than double cream consistency. And then I added some melted butter into the mixture to stop it sticking in the pan. This is the most time consuming bit of the whole process, is cooking them in this little waffle iron. However, they only take about 2 minutes and then it's done. Super easy and no sticking, thanks to adding the butter into the mixture. I then top with golden syrup. I made myself a cup of coffee and I really enjoy the quietness of Sunday morning. It is definitely my favourite day of the week. While enjoying my breakfast, I was reading the newspaper. I was reading about Titanic survivors. One was a countess and another one was a sailor working on the ship, and they go on to develop a lifelong bond after the tragedy. They were both in Lifeboat 8, working together to help others in that lifeboat, and they both wanted to go back to help others. However, they were overruled by other members of their lifeboat, but they continued to write to one another for years afterwards. A really touching story, and shows the immense bravery in both of them. I'm sure the article was about a book that is coming out about them, so I will be looking out for that in the coming months. Lunch was using up anything I had in the fridge or freezer because I was not going out anywhere. I like to have one day per week when I get to slob around and do nothing. Sunday is usually that day. I did make a mistake. I was meant to fry the mushrooms and frozen spinach in the pan first, but for some reason I just threw it all in with the eggs. It turned out delicious, but I think I got lucky. I added pepper and salt and fried it in the butter left over in the pan from the waffles that morning. I toasted the bread and added some ketchup and placed cheese in the centre of the mushroom and spinach omelette sandwich. It was exactly what I needed, filling, comforting, and relatively healthy. I finished with 2 more marzipan chocolate balls and read a little of my book. Another early dinner this time. It was just finishing off the lamb stew with some rice I cooked up, and I was listening to Human by Matt Haig as I was cooking the rice. I also finished the meal with 2 more marzipan chocolate balls, but I forgot to film that. My intention was to get into bed and continue reading my book. However, because I had my phone on me, because I was filming this, I ended up on my phone scrolling, which I've been so good at putting it in the other room and forgetting about it, and this just proves my point that that is what I need to do. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.